Welcome back, everyone, to Flip That Script. I'm Holly.
Oh, and I'm Dana.
And we're here with our teacups and our popcorn. And we want to talk about Hollywood and how they love to make hypnosis either terrifying or totally mystical, and sometimes both in the same scene. Two perfect examples of this is the creepy teacup stirring world of Get Out and the ghost whispering rabbit hole of Stir of Echoes.
And you know what? Before we dive in, just a spoiler alert for everybody, because we're going to be pulling these apart like two hypnotic therapy nerds who've just been handed popcorn and permission to talk through them.
In Get Out, Missy uses a soft clink of a spoon against her teacup as an induction, classic monotony and rhythm. But in her hands, it's weaponized. Poor Chris starts to sink literally into what the movie calls the sunken place. And the way they show it, his body's still in the room, but his consciousness is falling back into this vast, dark void, fully aware, yet unable to move or speak.
You know, it's pure horror because it's the opposite of real hypnotherapy. Because in real life, hypnosis isn't mind control. It's not erasing who you are. It's actually collaborative and the client's always in control. The goal is to empower their voice, not to steal it.
And in the film, the sunken place becomes a metaphor for systematic silencing, especially for the marginalized voices. It's about being trapped in society that uses your body but erases your agency.
Mhm.
It's a hypnotic imagery turned into a political gut punch. And that's why they've depicted it that way.
Right. It's not only that, but you're not changing bodies either. We're not swapping bodies.
No, we're definitely not swapping bodies.
Now, I do like how she used the teacup. I mean, that in itself could be the rhythmic, and then the clank, like the sudden boom. That's your
Hmm.
deep sleep, but it's not. First of all, you can't get somebody to go in so deep that they can't come out. That never happens. You're never stuck.
Right. And I like the spoon in the teacup as well, because on the surface, it's a simple repetitive sound. It's a classic hypnotic induction method, actually. But in her hands, it became a weapon. And we're not about weapons.
Right. I mean, we're a good hypnotherapist isn't anyway. But there's no way that could I don't see that ever happening in real life. The get out scenario.
No, no.
It's just not
It's like,
possible.
no. So the sunken place is a systematic, cinematic visualization of deep disassociation. Chris is aware of.
Yeah, if I didn't align with what you were saying, even while I'm in hypnosis, I can be like, would she just tell me to take my clothes off? What? I'm not taking my clothes off. Like that's not gonna happen. And I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna open my eyes and I'm gonna get up and say, okay, we're done here. Because I'm suddenly not rested now. Because that's what it is. It's deep relaxation, and you can't relax when somebody's telling you something that is against what you believe or what your values are, your core values. Now, if I wanted to get naked, maybe I was somebody that was like a little bit of an exhibitionist. Then maybe I'd be like, oh, she's giving me permission to get naked, and I'd get naked. But
Right. You have to desire what your hypnotherapist wants for you and what you have asked her to do for you. It's not stage hypnosis. Stage hypnotists, because they're not hypnotherapists, are trained to pick out certain personalities and certain people that are very suggestible in this world and who, on a normal basis, does not mind that attention, that front stage and center, and would do something like that all on their own. While actual hypnosis doesn't strip free your will in the way the movie shows. The feeling of being muted while life goes on around you is real, especially in the context of trauma, oppression, or abuse, but not during hypnosis. You
Right.
have the ability to speak, to get up and walk around. You can say, I'm done with this session. Nobody usually ever wants to be done with the session, though, because they are so relaxed. So in the movie, that sunken place is disempowerment. They intended it to show marginalized identities so that it would resonate or mirror that experience, not what real hypnotherapy is like.
Right. The sunken place represents oppression of marginalized people. So in that case, yes, it worked to his advantage, to Jordan Peele's advantage to use hypnosis, even though it's not accurate. It is symbolic. And I understand why they would use it because you want that horror that, like, look at what this is. This is what this is. That little clink of the teacup
Yes.
and the fact though, the fact that not only did the woman in the movie oppress him, but she also made him quit smoking at the same time. That's impressive.
If only,
If
right?
only it was
One
that easy,
session.
right? One session, boom. He's not smoking anymore. He's not.
Yes.
And just
Yes.
with
And she's
the
taking
clink of a
control.
teacup. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying impressive, but that's really a joke.
Yeah, we are joking. I mean, the film refrains hypnosis from a neutral tool that's meant to help to a vehicle of exploitation, forcing the audience to reckon with that horror of having your autonomy taken away.
Right.
And, hypnosis in Get Out is the opposite of therapeutic hypnosis. In real practice, hypnotherapy empowers a client to access their own subconscious resources. Here, it's about silencing and replacing those resources entirely. And that's the contrast between the two is in real hypnotherapy, we empower you. And they used hypnotherapy in Get Out to disempower you.
Now, I'm not saying mind control can't happen, but it can't happen that quick. And there's a lot more that goes into mind control than what we do as hypnotherapists. And it's not going to happen in a therapy session once a week or once every whatever. Because mind control takes a whole lot more. It's continuous influence, continuous, not just like boom right now. It's continuous and it uses isolation, so they have to isolate that person, so they can't see the outside world or any other influence other than what they are trying to tell them. And repetition and environmental control to sustain the effect of mind control. So that could never happen in a hypnotherapy session.
It's just like when medical doctors go on the black market and sell people's organs. All doctors are not that way. You
Right.
can take anything that is meant for help and condition someone over time to not be to their benefit, to be to your own benefit. And that's why it's so crucial to find a certified hypnotherapist that is ethical. And we talked a lot about that last week. If you missed the first episode in this series, please go back and watch last week's episode about what hypnosis is and is not. But that is the key. So it's not going to happen the way the movie said it if anyone were to attempt to do that. There is a lot of other things involved. And we're going to discuss that next week on our next episode about the dark side of
Yeah, we'll get
hypnotherapy.
way more into that.
So the next movie that we are going to talk about is Stir of Echoes.
Okay, so now Stir of Echoes takes a different spin. Tom, played by Kevin Bacon, is hypnotized at a casual party by his sister in law, which already feels like a bad idea after 2 beers.
Right? And her suggestion is just be more open minded. Sounds harmless. But in storytelling terms, that's like cracking a locked door in the subconscious and then walking away.
Right? And that door, it doesn't just crack open, it swings wide open and into visions of a murdered girl and the psychic impressions that haunt Tom until he solves the mystery. And the movie nails that. You can't unsee this energy once the suggestion takes root. It's like he's tuned into a frequency that's always been there, but now he can't turn it off.
And honestly, that's actually closer to the therapeutic truth. Hypnosis can help you notice things you've been ignoring or unable to access. But in real life, it's always guided and you can choose how far you want to go. But in the movie, it's like someone handed him a psychic firehouse with no off switch.
Right.
So those things can be turned on in your mind. And if you look at it, their son already had that ability. And everybody really has that ability.
Right.
It's whether you want it or not. Your subconscious will turn it off if you don't want it. So when she did give him that suggestion, there was a part of him maybe that wanted to understand his son more and wanted to be a little open, even though he was very resistant and very much saying he didn't believe in that.
Mm-hmm.
But then he was open.
And he was open to it. So that's why that resonated with him and why that opened it. Now, I don't think that it would be wide open like that. I think it takes time. But maybe he was already open a little prior to that suggestion. Maybe that suggestion just opened it the rest of the way. Like he was probably already unlocked. The door was already unlocked and it was already cracked open, but he was ignoring it. That's my theory on that. But
Yes.
this scenario in this show is actually how it could go. It would have to be something that he wanted to happen. So her just saying it isn't miraculously just like gonna make you see people, dead people, unless you wanted to.
Right.
But
Unless you wanted to.
so,
The suggestion acts like a key,
mhm.
removing the mental filters in your subconscious that kept, in this case, that kept Tom from perceiving the ghost, Samantha, and her psychic impressions tied to her murder. The residual energy left by this horrific event, right? So when that suggestion was put in his mind and he had that little bit of desire to really know, is this real? Is this not? Like Dana said, that door might have been cracked, but then it kind of flung way more open and it was something that he could not turn off. In Stir of Echoes, hypnosis doesn't make Tom a puppet. It strips away his blinders so he can see the truth that his community has buried. It's a metaphor for the shadow work people often resist, the knowledge that once you awaken to certain truth, you cannot go back to sleep. Once you accept certain things that you see in your life, it then becomes the reality to you. I want to compare it this way because this is what's coming to mind. So if you're a woman and you're married and you feel in your body, in your gut, everything is telling you your husband is having an affair. You've seen a few texts that make no sense, or there's been no explanation for his whereabouts. So you haven't accepted that he's having the affair. You have all these suspicions, these scenarios, right? But if you were to come to hypnotherapy and we helped you through certain aspects of the relationship, it's like shining a light and honing in on the reality of the truth.
I like that.
And yeah, and then when you come back and you walk back into that marriage, You might see a full text. You might realize that you passed this car at a hotel and you can't ignore it now because you've been you've relaxed the subconscious conscious mind enough to accept that this is a possibility. It's more than a possibility. It's the truth of what's happening.
Hmm.
So it helps you merge into reality.
I like how you said that. It's like you become an investigator that has a big magnifying glass and you're just seeing things clearer now. And yeah, you know, I think too that there was a lot of hidden stuff in that community in Stir of Echoes that was really what was shown, like the boys and their father, the father that knew, and
Mhm.
mm,
Yes. The condoning of covering up such a horrendous crime.
such like that movie breaks my heart. But and he was obsessed. He was obsessed with it. He couldn't not listen to it. And I'm glad that he listened,
Yeah.
even though everybody thought he was crazy. He didn't, stop. He just had, but it was just like a psychic flooding though, because of the unresolved injustice and two, I like that it was like rising from the basement. So it's like the basement of her
Yes.
mind. So that was like a, you know, double there.
I like how they portrayed that as well. And another thing that I love that they touched on without really giving explanation is that when he was under hypnosis, that she took the needle and stuck through his hand, the skin in between there. And that really truly you can do that with no pain. Now that's a trick. We don't do that. But what as hypnotherapists we can do with a doctor's referral is we can take pain away from you. We can turn it down so that it's bearable.
Hmm.
And a lot of clients do come to us for pain relief because hypnotherapy is a wonderful tool that helps you live, especially with chronic pain. So I do like the way they portrayed that in the
Yeah.
movie. I think that that was a good portrayal of that. I also like how they portrayed the stage in the movie when she was taking him back or when she was taking him under in the first place. And a lot of times I know that I use a stage as well, or I use a TV screen, depending on what we're doing. If we're doing inner child work or if we're doing other things, future pacing, sometimes I will use a screen for that as well. Fast forward your life and see where you want to be in 3 years because imagery is very important. And it doesn't matter if you can see images when your eyes are closed or not, even if you have a feel or a knowing, just like I try to explain to some of my clients who cannot visualize very well.
Yes.
I tell them, "Could you describe your house to me that you grew up in?" And they might not be able to see a picture, but that knowing of what it was like. So, I love the way it showed the immersion into the imagery.
Yes. And what's with both of these movies, it's not the hypnosis that is the horror. The scary part is not the hypnosis. It's what lives in the silence beneath your conscious mind. It's what actually lives in your subconscious that you're scared of. You're scared of the truth. Or, I mean, in Star of Echoes case, it's more of an awakening of buried truths, um, like a spiritual crisis almost, because the subconscious doesn't forget it. Even if you do, your subconscious doesn't forget. It might block, but it doesn't forget.
I love the way that was explained to me how The subconscious will block the same way we form a scab on our skin, that our bodies naturally form a scab over a cut or
Yeah.
wound to protect the body so that nothing gets in. And our subconscious will block things that we are not ready for. And we may never be ready for them. Sometimes we are, and sometimes we're not. But the subconscious will not let something come back through, like a scab over it, until you are mentally ready to have that come back through.
Yeah, the scab has to heal completely before you're ready. I like that too. I use that a lot when people want to just burst doors open in their mind. It's like, no, 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 wait. First, we have to make sure the hinges are good. We have to make sure that the, you know, foundation's good. We have to make sure that everything else is good. And then we can, maybe see if the door opens.
Exactly. It has to be in that person's own timing.
And
And
then,
if the subconscious is ready.
right. And that door will open sometimes on its own. So when you, you know, symbolically grease the hinges, okay? That door might just open on its own as fast or as slow as it needs to without even having to try to turn them on.
I think both films use hypnosis. They show hypnosis in a way that forces the protagonist into an unwanted journey. And one is through the forced stillness and Get Out, and the
Yeah.
other is through forced seeing, like in Stir of Echoes. And that's the thing. In real hypnotherapy, you're being guided by someone through a journey that you've consented to, one that you control, making the therapeutic version empowering instead of terrifying. But Hollywood needs the dramatization, and what better than to use the tool hypnotherapy as something scary and dark that could make you not have control over yourself? So we definitely wanted to bust that myth that
Right.
you don't have control over yourself, that you are in full control and that we can only help you with what you consent to.
Right. And honestly, could this happen in real life? No, not literally, but symbolically, it happens every day. Like, Get Out happens when people are praised for their culture, but they're stripped of their personhood. Or in Stir of Echoes, like it happens when you wake up to trauma, injustice, or even intuitive truths with absolutely no tools to process it with. And it's just like, oh,
And
shit.
oh, I got it now. I got it now. I come back. One thing that I did want to bring up, but I don't want to go into deep explanation, is that in Stir of Echoes, he had 2 beers,
Hmm.
which also ethically, Dana and I will never go into a hypnotherapy session with anyone who is under the influence of alcohol or drugs, because that also leads to you being more suggestible. So if you were drinking alcohol and you're at a party and someone wants to do stage hypnosis, yeah, you're going to be the one they pick
Hmm.
because you've already allowed the subconscious to come more forward. You know how a lot of people say, oh, when they drink alcohol, they laugh more, they're louder, they're this, they're that. And that's because you've dropped that conscious wall and you are allowing your subconscious to come out more. So this is a big red flag for hypnotherapists. And we always ask, if we know that this client has an issue with drugs or alcohol, we always ethically ask, have you had drugs or alcohol in the last 24 hours? Because if you have, then we cannot and will not do that hypnotherapy session.
Absolutely. I was, when you started on that, I was thinking, yeah, but that is who the stage hypnotists want to get. The reason with a hypnotherapist is because it's, the second part of that is therapy. So
Yes.
you're not going to go see a therapist if you're inebriated.
Yep.
So I guess what we're saying now is, if you want to go have fun at a stage hypnosis, then you're going to be picked if that's what you want. But I wanted to say these movies may be fiction, but what they reveal is very real. Truth lives deep in the subconscious, and whether you access it through hypnosis, trauma, dreams, it'll rise. The question isn't whether you're ready. The question is whether you're willing to listen.
And I just wanted to say your hypnotherapist isn't Missy with a teacup or your tipsy sister in law playing psychic roulette. We're trained to keep you safe, supported, and in control of your own mind. No sunken places, no uninvited ghost.
Right. But Hollywood's going to keep using hypnosis this way because it's such a delicious shortcut to suspense. Instant vulnerability, instant mystery.
And we'll keep showing you that the real thing is not about losing yourself. It's about finding the parts of you that you've been waiting to reclaim.
So, if you loved this conversation, or even if it made you think about hypnosis in a whole new way, go ahead and hit like, share this episode with a friend, and make sure that you're subscribed so you don't miss what's coming next.
And remember, we are live every single morning for our free morning meditation. It's the perfect way to wake up, energize yourself, ground yourself, and start the day with intentions. Cameras on, cameras off, come as you are, coffee or tea, and PJs are always welcome because many mornings, Dana and I are in our PJs as well.
Right. And, we've also got our She Reigns Now Rise Retreat coming up in October. So that's 3 days of transformation, laughter, empowerment, and yes, some hypnotherapy magic. And spots are limited. So if your soul is whispering, yes, then listen.
And join us next time because we're diving deep into the dark side of hypnotherapy, the myths, the reality, the misuses, and the downright spooky stuff. And then for the brave ones, on our fourth episode in this series, we'll be doing a live recorded hypnotherapy session right here on our show. So you don't want to miss that. But definitely watch all 3 episodes first and then see what it's really like to be in hypnotherapy.
So stay curious, stay empowered, and we'll see you in the morning at meditation. And then right back here on the next episode of Flip That Script.
Bye, Flip Fam.
Bye.